Okay, right. Now we should be live. And I always hate this bit because I'm like, are we live somewhere? Are we not? I've just realised I've got a massive pile of crap behind me. That's a great start, isn't it?
I've turned my LinkedIn and everything off because I had it once. I got dreadful feedback when I was doing my readings.
I need to blur my background because my daughter has written obscenities on my on my thing behind me. I'm going to blur my background, and that should make that look hardly any better at all. Here we go. Look at that.
There we go.
I'm in my pool room, apparently.
I know, that looks very, I like the pool. I like the look of the pool.
Right, okay. Well, hopefully we are live in all of the places. And this is quite exciting because this is the first EBN member who has taken up the opportunity to come on EBN TV. Yay! So thank you, Penny. I was very excited when your booking came through. It was like, oh my God, at last, somebody wants to do it. For anybody who catches this video and doesn't have a clue what this is all about, so I'm Nadine. My business is Effective Business Network, and Penny is one of the members of EBN. She's a member in our Southend group, and EBN TV is an opportunity for members to come on, go live, and talk a little bit about what they do, how they help people, potentially any hot topics within their industry and information that's going to benefit anybody watching. So Penny today is going to be covering something which is on a lot of people's radars at the moment. There's been quite a lot of scaremongering, as Penny and I were discussing earlier, and headlines which are causing people to panic. So you have probably heard the words making tax digital. And seen lots of scary stuff saying HMRC is changing the rules and blah, 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 blah. And you may or may not know how that's going to actually impact you, if it is going to impact you at all, and if there are things that you should be thinking about. So Penny is here today to spread a little calm, put your fears aside, and actually give you some information that's going to be really helpful. So before we do that, I'll just let Penny introduce herself and tell you a little bit about her, what she gets up to, and her business. So over to you, Penny.
So thank you, Jean. So it's really lovely to be on the first episode of EBN TV. So thank you for having me. I'm Penny. You can find me on LinkedIn as Penelope. I started my bookkeeping journey when I was 13, working for my dad in my dad's business. I then worked for my dad's accountant, trained as a certified accountant with ACCA. But just before I did my finals, I had my daughter and gave up work for a short period. Went into teaching accounts, and then, as happens, children grow up. I had a 7-year age gap between my eldest and my youngest, and teaching evening classes wasn't really working for me anymore. And a few people had asked if my students could come and help because I had a backlog with their bookkeeping. And I was like, well, never mind the students, I'll come and do it. And then my daughter needed extra ballet lessons at the time. So that's how my practice started, really. It was just a bit of extra money, pay for the ballet lessons, pay for the swimming lessons. I think, not too many hours involved. And then I got divorced, and everybody asked, was I going to go and get a proper job? And it's, well, I've got a proper job. I just need more clients. So I took that scary decision as a single mum of 3 to go down a self-employed route rather than rather than get a job. To be honest with you, my children needed me more than ever. And the idea of having to use childcare, being in office from 9 to 5, not be able to go and get them if they were ill. I know you've had a similar journey, Nadine. So
it's tough. It's tough. It's the entire reason I'm self-employed. It's not easy for mums with little ones, especially when you are a lone parent and doing it all by yourself.
Exactly. So that's really where Wild Bookkeeping started. So I decided to grow the business, and we got to the point during lockdown. I'd been turning work away, if I'm honest. Didn't really understand pricing, scared about growing too much. And then lockdown happened. I was like, all the kids, my eldest two were back from uni, eating me out of house and home. I was like, are my clients going to get through furlough and lockdown? And as it happened, yeah, everybody that I was working with got through. And we found there's a lot more business out there as well. I think business owners recognize that having a really good handle on your numbers and your finances was crucial. Obviously, furlough and payroll was a nightmare for everybody, but once we've mastered it for one, we could roll that out to everybody.
Yeah.
So I found the business really grew during lockdown. So I took on my first staff member, decided to rebrand. I'd been Penelope Allard Bookkeeping Services up until then, and thought this is time for this to be the proper grown-up business that it's destined to be, that's going to support me, my family, and provide me an income into the future. So we spent lockdown trying to come up with a name for the business and failed miserably, and decided to take my own advice and, rather than DIY it, employ an expert. Which I did. So I used Philippa Haynes from Insight 101, and Philippa came across a photograph that my daughter had taken when I was very first separated from my husband. I was on the beach in Pembrokeshire, October half term, freezing cold, about to get in the sea and be engulfed by a wave. And I'm standing firm, braced, ready to, take the onslaught. And I used that photo a lot at that time on my social media to remind myself that, if you can do this, you can do anything.
Yeah.
And that's so true in business as well as in life. And I think having a really good firm grip on your financials, there's no point, if your business is struggling, and all businesses struggle at some point, if you bury your head in the sand and you ignore your figures, it's not going to end well. You've got to face up to those challenges and face your fears.
Yeah.
So that's where the brand of Wild Bookkeeping came in. So we've got Wild in a very strong font in our logo, because that's me standing firm in the waves, facing the fears and challenges I was facing in my personal life, but also representing those fears and challenges that we have to face in business, and how bookkeeping is going to help you do that.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
since then, I've grown the business. We're now a team of 5. We've won 3 Luca Awards from the ICB. And last year, we were also a finalist for the Accounting Excellence Awards in the Sole Practitioner category. So I'm hugely proud of the journey that we've been on.
Yeah.
And I think, for me, I just love helping business owners. I think it takes me back to when I was 13, working for my dad in our small family-owned firm. And it's just having that passion. So although we offer a full service, we do corporation tax, self-assessment returns, we only do that if we've done the bookkeeping first. Because for me, it's getting to know the business owner, being a daily part of that business with them, and making sure they've got the tools they need to support them on that journey.
Yeah. And you should be immensely proud. You've achieved so much in a relatively short space of time, and it gives you such a lot of experience that you can put to helping your clients and the people that you work with, right? You've kind of been on a journey with your own business, and you rack up a lot of knowledge, don't you, yourself? That's really
exactly good. There is. I mean, often the clients I have often are very small, and they don't have access to a huge number of experts. But because we're dealing with their accounts on a daily basis, it's a very personal thing, handing over your money and your finances to somebody.
Yeah.
People are often quite scared, particularly because they might not be in a great place, and having to admit to somebody that maybe you've not got the best handle on your numbers.
Absolutely.
It's a difficult conversation to have. It's a brave conversation.
Yeah.
So we get to know our clients really, really well. We become their trusted advisors. And actually, it's one of the things I love with networking, is I now have so many other experts at my fingertips.
Yeah.
People that I meet every Tuesday at EBN, at other networking groups. When you do presentations to each other, you're learning things, you're picking up information. And then when my clients come to me, I've got the knowledge that I've got from running my own business. I don't see myself as a bookkeeper, I'm a business owner. So I've got those issues that I've encountered as a business owner, plus all the things I've learned from the people I network with, which means I know exactly when clients have problems and issues. I know what advice to give them, or who I can refer them to if they need help that I can't give them.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, every business goes through highs and lows, and times when you kind of struggle, and every business owner goes through a point at some stage of thinking, I think I'll just jack this in and get a job. Like, are you a real business owner if you don't have that thought every now and then?
I think you have those feelings on a regular basis, don't you? It's,
yeah, exactly. And I think
yeah,
definitely the finances, there can be a lot of there's a lot of issues around sort of money mindset, and shame about not doing well financially, and then shame about doing too well, and there's such a lot that's wrapped up in it. So to know that actually you've got somebody like you who can, isn't going to judge, is going to look at the facts, and is going to actually help you, I think is super important.
Yeah, I think having that, being able to approach things with no judgment is so important. So I actually volunteer at the local homeless charity, and so part of what we do with that is very much looking at things with no judgment. I'm also a mental health first aider, and I found actually the skills that I've learned on my mental health first aider journey, it's not just for family, friends, for the people I'm working with at One Love, it's for clients too. It's something, mental health to me is something that's really important, and being able to treat people and accept people where they are with no judgment is just, so important.
Yeah, definitely. So what's going on with this whole making tax digital? HMRC are doing X, Y, and Z, and people are going to be looking at your banks, and oh my goodness, there's a lot of noise out there at the moment, isn't there? And people are definitely panicking because they haven't got the whole story, and they don't really know what it is. They've just got a vague idea that something's going to happen, and they may or may not be affected.
I think actually it's a huge opportunity for business owners, and I think it will be a good thing for business owners. I know certainly there are accounting firms out there. I was speaking to my Xero account manager, and apparently there's a lot of firms that aren't yet ready. We were ready for MTD when it was cancelled 2 years ago. I was gutted actually, because we had everybody ready, everything was all set to go, and HMRC pulled the plug. But there were valid reasons for that. There were certain things on the HMRC side that weren't ready and in place at that point. So basically what HMRC have done is they decided a number of years ago now that they needed to upgrade their computer systems. They weren't fit for purpose anymore, and Making Tax Digital was born. It's not new. We've already had MTD for VAT that came in a number of years ago, and there was the same scare factors then. But actually, it was an improvement. Basically, what it meant is if you were VAT registered, you needed to be using accounting software and file your VAT return from the accounting software. So now every company that's VAT registered will be using software. There are a few that aren't, because HMRC said you could use bridging software that was supposed to be a short-term gap, but it's still there. So there are still some firms producing their accounts on spreadsheets and using bridging software for MTD VAT. But to be honest with you, cloud software gives you so many other advantages. There's so much more information that you can have about your business, and that gives you extra added value. There is no reason not to be on software. So MTD for VAT was the first stage, and now MTD for self-assessment, income tax and self-assessment, that's the next stage in this journey. So the business owners affected are going to be anybody who is a sole trader or a landlord, where their income, that's their turnover, not their profit, the money coming into the business, is over £50,000. So if you fall into that bracket, then MTD will apply to you from April 2026. That threshold drops to £30,000 for April 27 and £20,000 in April 28. Now, if your turnover is less than £20,000, there's no change. At the moment, nothing has been indicated that MTD will apply to you. But obviously, as your business grows and you hit that 20,000 threshold, which hopefully is going to happen, then it will apply. So what does it mean? It doesn't change how you pay for your tax. You'll still be doing your self-assessment tax return, which is due in January, and you'll still be paying 2 chunks of income tax, 31st of January and 31st of July. Nothing changes. What's new is that you now have to submit a quarterly return. So that's every June, September, December and March, and those will be due on the 7th of the month following that quarter.
Okay.
So your December return will be due on the 7th of February. So you've got plenty of time to get everything in place. The difference is going to be where you've got business owners who leave everything to the last minute and having that panic, scrabbling around for their receipts in January, trying to work out if they actually made any money, and then panicking about how much tax they've got to pay.
Yep.
That isn't going to happen, because you're going to have your figures up to date to submit each quarter.
Yeah, it's going to make life easier, surely. Really.
Yeah. So you'll be ready to file that tax return as soon as you've filed that last March quarter. You'll be ready to file your tax return.
Yeah.
Now, things change. They don't have to be those quarter returns that you put in. It's not a full tax return. It's just what's your income, what's your expenses. If they change, if there's movement in those figures, if you get a late invoice in, that's fine. That's not a problem.
Okay.
So the accurate figures are going to be your self-assessment tax return. That's the Bible.
Yeah.
But obviously, if your 4 quarterly returns are nothing like your tax return, HMRC are going to think, well, hang on, what's going on here? And, you're possibly going to bump yourself up, for an inspection or something on those lines.
Yeah.
But the quarterly returns, really, it's just to make sure that business owners are keeping up to date with their accounts, which isn't a bad thing. You're going to get that information. You're going to be able to see where the problems lie.
Yeah.
And you need to be using approved HMRC software. So there's a number of softwares out there. Obviously, all the main ones are MTD compliant. If you're a business owner that isn't using software, Xero at the moment, I think QuickBooks have as well. I have to admit, I'm not a huge fan of QuickBooks, but people tend to be either QuickBooks or Xero. QuickBooks is great. It just doesn't have as many integrations as Xero does.
Okay.
But they've got 90% on at the moment. So I know the Xero offer of 90% for 6 months, that finishes on the 30th of April.
Okay.
So that's a really good deal.
Mm.
Lots of them have got smaller options now for self-employed, both QuickBooks and Xero doing this, and Sage.
Okay.
But the one that you really cannot beat on price is Free Agent. So if you open a Metal Bank account, which is part of the NatWest group, it's an app that you can download online. The Metal Bank account is completely free. It's a business bank account, totally free. And with that, you can open a Free Agent software account, and that is completely free, provided you've got some transactions going through your Metal Bank account each month.
Okay.
And Free Agent is great software. If you don't need the complexities of the reporting in Xero, then Free Agent is the one for you.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not going to cost you any extra money to do that.
Yeah.
You can get it set up. It's very easy to use and run. And what we're actually doing for our clients at the moment, for small businesses that don't have a huge number of transactions going through, we're doing a training session so that they know how to use Free Agent correctly. And then we drop in every 3 months and do a review on their bookkeeping. We've got some software that we can use that will check a health check report for your accounts. And we can use that, monitor it, and every 3 months just say, yep, that's fine, or no, you've made a few mistakes, this is what we need to do. So that you're already in that routine now of doing those quarterly returns. And then at the end of the year, everything's ready and we can get that tax return filed as well.
Okay, fantastic. So that's going to be a good
everyone's all ready. Yeah,
that's going to be a great option for people who want to have a bit more of an understanding, but don't necessarily have the funds to go full out on outsourcing bookkeeping and accountants. Those sort of higher price packages that are available. So this would give people the support that they need to be able to continue to manage it themselves, but know that they're getting it all right.
Exactly. And I've also got a free Facebook group, the Wild Bookkeeping Club. So if anybody's on Facebook, if you drop into the Wild Bookkeeping Club for businesses in there, I'll be putting lots of videos that I'm starting to put together on how Free Agent works as well. So I know it's something that lots of people, maybe MTD doesn't apply to you yet, but you want to start getting ready for that and you want to see where it's going. So if you drop into my free Facebook group, I'll be sharing resources in there for people as well. But really, it's nothing to be scared of. Making Tax Digital is going to give you the information that you need to run your business.
Yeah.
So I can see Mihul's dropped in. So hi, Mihul. Good to see you here. So Meagle's another ICB bookkeeper. So
Okay.
I'm not sure if people realise, but accountant and bookkeeper is not a protected term. Anybody can call themselves an accountant. Anybody can call themselves a bookkeeper.
Yeah, I think you've mentioned this to me before, and I just find that crazy, because
yeah, you don't need any qualifications to call yourself an accountant.
It's insane, right? Hi, Kirsty.
Yeah, it's really, really insane. So Kirsty is another ICB bookkeeper. So is Meagle. So we are licensed and registered by the ICB. We've got great branch networks. Kirsty actually is the chair of our advisory council and chair of the Cambridge branch, and one of my business besties as well. We're chatting every day.
Oh,
The great thing with ICB bookkeepers is we all support each other. So if someone's got a query or problem, or a client comes along with something you haven't come across, we've got our own networking. And I think
amazing.
just as it's really important to network with other businesses, it's also really good to network with people in your own industry as well, because there's always clients. I mean, as I mentioned before, QuickBooks, I'm not a huge fan of. Kirsty loves QuickBooks. So if I've got QuickBooks clients, Kirsty can, help out with those. So,
definitely.
And again, I prefer Xero. So we all work together very much with an ICB. So it's great to see some ICB bookkeepers in here.
Oh,
And
hello.
if you're out there and you're looking for a bookkeeper or an accountant, check if they are actually qualified. Check which professional body they belong to.
Okay.
There are lots of, without wanting to take anything away, for example, from VAs and virtual assistants, there are lots of VAs out there that offer bookkeeping.
Mm-hmm.
But if they haven't got bookkeeping qualifications, you need to make sure that they do actually understand the VAT, the tax rules, and that they're staying up to date with what's going on. Whereas with ICB, we have to do regular CPD. We've got to stay up to date with our qualifications and those professional regulations as well. So it's really important to keep that in mind when you're choosing who to work with.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. Okay. So you've one thing that I think is really great as well, I know we've spoken about it a little bit before, is that you are really on the ball with kind of techie stuff in terms of what people, how the sort of pieces of software that you bring in and integrate with, to give people more insights into their business. And there's so much, isn't there? Like there's so much
out there. Yeah. So there's, AI again is a huge, I suppose probably the two biggest topics at all the accounting conferences this year is making tax digital and AI. And AI, people are scared of AI, but actually we've been using it for ages. When you go into QuickBooks Xero free agent and it guesses the bank rules for you, that's AI. And what people don't realise, if they've been doing their own bookkeeping, they say, well, Xero told me to post it there. And it's, but that's because you said yes the first time. The software suggests something, you say yes. The software then thinks, oh, that's right. And they'll keep doing the same thing. And the more you say yes, the more it learns. So software is using AI and it's learning from us all the time. So we've been using it for a long time. It's not something new. ChatGPT and that sort of thing is more of a current thing that's come in. But we've been using AI and software for ages. And there is so much more that's coming out there. So, for example, we use Zen Connect. Zen Connect will integrate in with your QuickBooks Xero and free agent accounts, and it looks for common errors that occur in the accounting. So that for us means, hopefully we're doing the bookkeeping correct, but everybody's human. So Zen Connect will go in and it gives us a double check that we've been posting things in there correctly. It'll look, for example, this supplier, you've always posted it as 20% VAT, and suddenly you've not claimed the VAT. Why is that? So those little errors it will pick up, which is crucial, and that's one of the softwares we use with our quarterly review service that we offer on free agent. We've got another bit of software that we use, Otto, and Otto is able to match Xero bank feeds with invoices, which means that those really straightforward matching that goes through, we can get the software to do it. Now, I'm still paying the software, it's a cost to me. But it's freeing up human time, which means we can have more of those human conversations and more of those touch points with our clients, which is what's so important. Business owners don't understand their numbers, they're scared of it, they don't see what it means, they don't know what the cash flow is. So using technology and harnessing those apps, you have to stop seeing software as a cost, it's an investment. And AI gives us that opportunity to get rid of the boring, mundane tasks.
Yeah, because who likes actually, doing this stuff unless you are an accountant or a bookkeeper, right?
Yeah, but even I mean, we use Apron for posting purchase invoices. So all our clients have an app on their phone. They just take a photograph of their receipts. Those get uploaded into Apron, and Apron uses AI. It will pull out the date that's on the invoice, the supplier name. And the really great thing is it uses AI to give a description. So when you're posting the invoice, there's actually a line item. So years ago, you'd literally just put in the date, the supplier name, and the amount.
Yeah.
And unless you really needed it, you wouldn't put in the description, or it might be a fairly basic description. But now Apron's using AI to pull a really detailed description out. So every line item on that invoice has a detailed description. So by using this software and harnessing AI, we've got so much more information in the accounts. And then we can use our expertise and years of experience to look at that. So if you've got a business owner that's relatively new, that haven't got the experience, by using a qualified bookkeeper, they might think they can't afford it or it's a cost. But actually, what they're doing is they're getting a business bestie in their pocket that could go and explain those numbers to them, tell them what it means, give them that advice, explain the numbers, let them know, well, yeah, this is growing, that's good, but actually you need to watch this expense line, or you've been spending a lot of money on there, and you've got a lot of subscriptions coming out where the cash leaks, or your sales figures are growing, but your profit's not growing. Let's have a look why. And that's the experience that you get from having a fresh set of eyes looking at your numbers and asking those questions.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's questions that you maybe have niggling in the back of your mind, but you don't want to ask yourself. But when your bookkeeper asks you, you've got to face up to that, to that fact and to the question.
Yeah, I love that, business bestie in your pocket. That's so cool.
It.
I think that's a business in itself.
Yes.
Whole other...
I need to trademark that one.
Yeah. Brilliant. So there's basically tons of stuff out there that people can tap into that are going to be helpful and hopefully kind of prove that the whole Making Tax Digital HMRC stuff that's going around at the moment is really not as bad as people are making it out to be. And having a chat with you or a qualified registered bookkeeper is going to actually just be absolutely 100% beneficial for them.
Definitely. It's going to give people the opportunity to do their accounts in real time. Nobody wants to spend January searching for a receipt that's 18 months old.
No, I have been that person who would always get that done on the very last day of January, normally about
and how many times do you think when you've done that tax return on the last day in January, do you think, do you know what, I know I've got other expenses there that I could claim,
100%.
I just can't be asked to go look for them?
Yep, 100%. I don't think there has probably been any year where I've claimed everything because I have forgotten about stuff that I've bought, and I've done that thing which we all do of putting something in a safe space so I remember when it is when I need it, and obviously I completely forget where that space is. And I will often find things 6 months, a year down the line and think, bugger, I should have really included that, but it's too late now.
And that's the advantage if you're using a separate business bank account. I always say I've done a number of workshops for craft businesses. My son had a craft business while he was at sixth form, so I spent a lot of time going around craft markets, and I did some workshops for them. And I said, it doesn't matter how small your business is, even if it's just a side hustle or a hobby, open a separate bank account. It's not going to cost you any money. If you have a metal bank account, it's completely free. You can do it on your phone while we're chatting. Open that bank account, and if you put all your business income and expenses through that account, doing your tax return will be so much easier because you're just going through that bank account. If you then combine that with something like Free Agent that's going to pull all those bank transactions through, you can upload your receipts straight in. So Free Agent actually has a really good mobile app, and you can upload your receipts directly into their smart capture, and it will use AI to take the information off of those receipts and match them to the line items on the bank. Amazing. So that's really, really easy to do. If you're using something like Xero, I'd recommend using an app such as Apron. And again, you've just got an app on your phone. You know, everybody, almost everybody out there has a smartphone.
Yep.
Everybody's capable of taking a selfie on their smartphone. So if you've got a smartphone and you're capable of taking a selfie, you can take a photograph of that receipt. And if you do it as soon as you get the receipt and upload it into the software, it takes seconds.
Yeah, I was
And
going to
that's
say, yeah,
done.
it's literally seconds, isn't it? And
Yeah.
it's literally the one very tiny, minute thing you can start doing differently from now, that's going to save you an absolute headache further down the line, and will save you money. Because if you get yourself in a mess and you've got to pay somebody at lastminute.com because you've got to get your return in, you're gonna pay through the nose for that, right?
The trouble is, when we're trying to fit all the last minute jobs in January, we end up having to pay staff overtime, and that's costing us more money. So, you know, there will always be a premium for doing those returns late.
Yeah.
So with Making Tax Digital, you'll have those quarterly returns. I mean, when we're doing, you know, bookkeeping for our clients, weekly or monthly bookkeeping, we're posting those receipts that they've taken photographs of, putting that into the software, matching it to the bank, and then we're sending out regular reminders and chasers to clients saying, hey, you're missing 5 receipts.
Yeah.
Now, how much easier is it to look for those receipts on a weekly or a monthly basis compared with trying to do it all in January?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
You know, so we're there as your accountability buddy as well. You know, we're making sure that you've got those missing receipts. And again, if you say, actually, do you know what, I really can't find that receipt, well, at least we know what we can do. And so, well, that's right, we can see on the bank statement that you spent it there, or actually we've got other receipts from that supplier, so we know what that one is, or you know what, it's an Amazon purchase, we've got no way of knowing, you're just going to have to write that one off. So, but we can deal with those conversations as they happen, rather than having that big panic in January. And at least now it's just going to be a panic every 3 months. And, you know, it's just the reason for getting that. Really, I would say quarterly bookkeeping isn't going to be enough when MTD comes in. We're going to have to be doing a minimum of monthly, because we cannot be doing every single client on a 3 monthly cycle, because everyone's going to have that same quarterly deadline.
We'd have like literally 1 week of zero sleep at the end of the
I know. I mean, I have to admit, the 7th of February is going to be my daughter's birthday. Is the 6th of February, so it's even shorter period. So it's the biggest VAT quarter on the 7th of February, because businesses that have the normal quarter ends as their VAT quarter ends, at the 7th of February is when the VAT returns are due in. So it's always a panic on the 7th of Feb, because you've had a busy January doing tax returns with that 31st of January deadline, and then you've got the VAT return deadline at the 7th of February. Ow. So obviously now we're going to have Making Tax Digital deadlines as well on the 7th of February.
Wow.
But hopefully we won't have as much panic for the 31st of January, because everyone's going to be doing these quarterly things. So it's going to spread that out. And I think if everyone can do a minimum of monthly bookkeeping, there shouldn't be any panics. And the extra information and advice that business owners are going to be able to get, you know, I think is going to be invaluable to them. You know, just being able to, you know, take really good control of their finances. I mean, HMRC are hoping it's going to close the tax bracket and that they're going to get more tax out of this. And obviously, if you're filing quarterly figures and then you decide in January, oh, I don't like that, and you're filing something completely different, it is going to stop that level of tax fraud. But I personally think for the majority of business owners who are honest and want to do the right thing, I think they're going to end up paying less tax, because they're going to be better organised and filing those things on a quarterly basis.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody wants to, deliberately underpay anything. We all, we want to maximise, obviously, the money that we've got in the business, so that it's working out the best for us in our favour. Exactly. But we want to do it all above board. I think there's probably very few people who are deliberately really, really just playing the system, because I mean, God, if you get caught and you have everything go through, it's horrendous. We all want to pay as little as possible, but legally, basically.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And if we know what's coming up, again, it's understanding what people's life goals are. So a conversation we're always having with clients is, what are your life goals? Where are you going? If we know that somebody is thinking about buying a house or moving house, then we need to know, well, when are you thinking of applying for that mortgage? Because you're going to need your accounts ready in time for that. And particularly if you're a limited company, there's a conversation to be had there about, well, how do you structure the money to get it out the company? Because, you know, you've got a choice of taking a salary or taking dividends out. Well, if you're applying for a mortgage, you need to think about, you know, what mix you want on that and how you want to show that income, how much money you want to take out the company.
Yeah.
So there are conversations to be had, and you need to be thinking further down the line, which is another reason. If you've got that up-to-date bookkeeping done and you're having conversations with your bookkeeper can be speaking to your mortgage advisor, to your financial advisor, and all of these things go hand in hand to make sure that you've got good, you know, financial security in the future.
Yeah, it really does impact a lot of different areas of your life, doesn't it, this stuff?
Yeah.
And I think it's only with, you know, hearing you talk and, you know, people being able to access this kind of information and that level of advice that people really do realise how important it is. So thank you. I think you've covered some really great stuff that hopefully people will take heed of, and start making their lives a bit easier with some very small changes. But for anybody who wants to have a chat with you, how's the best? How do you want people to get hold of you? Are they good to email you? Go on your website, connect with you on LinkedIn?
Yeah. So if you go on my website, there's a contact form, and you can book a free discovery call on there. Very happy to chat to anybody. We offer a 15-minute free discovery call, and we always manage to add loads of value in that. So that's available on our website on the contact us page, and that will take you straight through to my diary. LinkedIn is probably where you'll find me hanging out the most. So Penelope Allard, I'm on LinkedIn every single day. We've also got Facebook page for Wild Bookkeeping and Instagram as well. If you want to know more about my swimming, you can check out the Wild Bookkeeper. So what we haven't mentioned, I do a video every single week. I'm a really keen, passionate open water swimmer and swim all year round. And I do a video every week of bookkeeping tips from the beach.
Do you know what? I don't know. I've seen you do something from the water, and I'm like, how can you concentrate to speak when you're in freezing cold water? I can't imagine. I know you find it enjoyable. I know there's lots of benefits.
I love it.
I
did try to get Kirsty, who's listening in. I did try to get Kirsty in November. She came for a paddle and screamed. If you look at the Penny and Friends video, you'll find it on there. But, it was about 4 or 5 degrees in the water.
How long have you been wild swimming for?
Since 2011.
Since 2011. Wow.
Yeah, it's a long time. Before Wim Hof made it popular.
Yeah, exactly. And so do you swim every day?
No, I'd like to swim every day. But the tide in South the tide in Southend moves on 45 minutes, so it's a different time every day. I am planning on going down for a swim when we finish this call, because it's afternoon tides at the minute and it's gorgeous weather, and I can take the dog to the beach for another couple of days. So I am planning to this afternoon. I thought about doing this interview actually from the beach up, then I was a bit worried in case the Wi-Fi didn't work as well. So
yeah, okay. Well,
so I'm down there. But yeah, so you can follow my bookkeeping tips on the beach, and I've also got a free Facebook group, the Wild Bookkeeping Club. So you don't have to be a client to join in there. Anyone can join in, and it's a safe space to ask any questions that you're not sure about, or any advice. So particularly, you know, those people who have just got a side hustle, they're not really ready for a bookkeeper yet, but they want to make sure that they've got things correct at the beginning. Yes. That's really one of the reasons I set the Facebook group up, because there are so many business owners out there who are just starting up. They're not really making any money at the moment. They're possibly not even needing to pay tax yet. Mm-hmm. But if you can get those good habits in right at the beginning, that's so important. Because at what point does a side hustle or a hobby become a business? And so many businesses grow from side hustles. And if they'd known what they know now a year or 18 months ago, it would have made life so much easier.
Yeah, and I always think it's in every area of business, no matter what kind of piece you're talking about, what sort of element of the business, even if you think you don't really need to implement a certain system or process, just do it. Just start from the beginning with everything, even if you feel like you don't need it at the moment, because trying to backtrack and put stuff in a year,
exactly, so much easier just to get it And the things at the beginning, you've got the time. At the beginning, you've got the time. By the time you get really busy and you need the systems, you're too busy to implement them.
Exactly. And it's that learning curve as well, of actually, you know, let's say a CRM system, for instance, you know, you think, oh, I don't need one of them. I've just got a notebook, or I'll just do a spreadsheet or whatever, you know. But if you start at the beginning and log everyone, learn the system, learn what you can do on it, and it grows with you, rather than trying to then put a year's worth of data into something.
Exactly.
It just snowballs, and that's everything, you know. It's bookkeeping, systems, processes. It doesn't really matter what it is, because you will need all these things at some point. I think that's a really important thing to
getting those in place. So I guess if you want to book a discovery call, it's wildbookkeeping.co.uk. Go to the contact us page and book a discovery call. Find me on LinkedIn, Penelope Allard on LinkedIn, or join our free Facebook group, the Wild Bookkeeping Club.
Amazing. So we're going to let Penny go off and have a little swim, because this I sectioned 15 minutes off. So
I know.
Well, 1 minute. Doesn't it go quickly though? Like it
does.
Fast.
I always enjoy chatting to you, Nadine. Though. So are you coming to the breakfast meeting tomorrow?
I absolutely am. So yes, Southend Visitors Day tomorrow. So our Southend group meets every other Tuesday, and we are in the launch pad. So the launch pad is, if you haven't been there, is an incredible space for business owners. So there's people who have permanent office space in there. You can hot desk in there. It's great for meeting clients and things like that. It's really nice and professional. They've got a great cafe in there. There are private meeting rooms and function rooms. There's a lot of different things that you can tap into in terms of business support through the Launchpad as well. Jackie Stimpson, who manages the Launchpad, is fantastic. She's got a lot of knowledge of the local area as well. So if you're free tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. It's an early start, but it is worth it, 100% worth it. We have got a buzzing meeting happening tomorrow for Visitors Day. We're going to be welcoming lots of new faces, so it gives anybody a chance to meet the members, meet our other guests. Everybody will have an opportunity to share what they do, and we've also got Paula Chapman from Rochford Council, who is going to be talking about the business support and the free resources that people in that area can actually tap into. There's a lot of stuff that goes on with local councils that is available to everybody, but you know, sometimes we're not always aware of kind of what's on our doorstep, really. And the same with the Launchpad. Jackie will be telling everybody what's available through there as well. So yeah, if you're available, it's 7 till 9. So you've got to get up early, but you get great coffee, you get a lovely breakfast, you get to meet, well, me and Penny. I mean, is there any reason why you wouldn't want to come just based on that? But it's a great meeting, really lovely bunch of people. Sally Laking, who runs the group, is absolutely amazing. She runs a fantastic meeting, and yeah, you will start your day with a buzz if you come along. You'll leave at 9 o'clock, go on to your working day. You'll be on a real high. You'll get loads done. You'll achieve loads. You'll feel really motivated, because that's how I always feel when I leave our meetings. So you definitely need to come. So right,
love the group. I've made some really great friends through there, so I always look forward to seeing everybody. So
yeah, it's a great group. All the groups are great, and they're all so supportive of the people in the group, and it's wonderful to see. There's just such a great vibe with all of the groups when you know go around them all, and you can see along the bottom all the different groups, hopefully. But yeah, scan the QR code, come along to an event and meet us in person. But thank you very much for your time today, Penny. And please, get in touch with Penny, have that 15-minute chat with her, and don't be scared about stuff that you're hearing, because it's really not as bad as you think it's going to be. So yeah, have a great rest of your day, Penny. Enjoy your swim, and I will see you in the morning.
See you in the morning. Take care. Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye.